Good morning, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, readers of all persuasions. It is I, Gayla, and welcome back to Books Uncorked and Caffeinated. We are having a Books and Caffeine today. We haven't done one of those in a long time. My cup from Cafe Du Monde. I'm not going to share with you the coffee today, only because I don't like the way I made it, and so I don't want to bring that on to the coffee. I'm just going to drink it because it is what it is. I'm out of town. I brought my coffee with me, and I just, misjudging, using a different pot, using a different stove, all of those things matter. So we're still gonna have our coffee and talk about our books, but we're gonna be into this book thing today. So cheers. So today I'm doing something a little different. A couple of videos ago, and I'll link it to this video, I talked about the YA books I'm going to read. I went into my colleague's classroom. She had all these books that I was interested in reading. So I said I was going to use August as my month of reading these YA books. So we're going to start with Tiffany D. Jackson. She's an author and filmmaker. She's really known for making young adult novels. And so the novel that I picked up from my colleague's room was Grown, which I think is most popular. And then there's another book, and I'll put it on the screen, Monday Is Not Coming. I think she's well known for those two books. But in the middle of the summer, Blood in the Water came out. And that is actually the first book I read. So Blood in the Water is based on a young woman, a young teen from Brooklyn, because Tiffany is from Brooklyn. And so she was going to spend time with some people her father knew in Martha's Vineyard. And ironically, I go to Martha's Vineyard on a sister-girlfriend trip every July. So I was on my way to MV, and I said, oh, let me read the book. Even though it's a YA book, it would prep me for Grown. So I read the book, thoroughly enjoyed the book. It's considered middle grade, but I thoroughly enjoyed it. I listened to it with my ears. And because it was kind of like thriller mystery type thing, it was really good to hear that and hear like all the things that was happening in the background. So I thoroughly enjoyed this book, and it kind of prepped me for going to Martha's Vineyard, but it also mentioned a lot of things from Brooklyn that the girl talked about, which I'm from. I enjoyed that part. It also talked a lot about MV. It's like Circuit Avenue and going to the George Bridge and things like that. So it was really comforting when you read to identify with what the author is talking about. So this was a big mystery. Two things was happening. One thing, her father was in jail. And the second thing, there was a young person that was murdered on the island when she went. And those two things are not mutually independent of one another. They actually are a part of the same family of why her father's in jail and why that young man ended up being killed. And so she really wants to go back home to Brooklyn so she can help her father solve his case. But once she became involved in this, she wanted to solve the case of this young person being killed. It was a really good book, really interesting. Talked about some heavy topics when we're talking about like father-daughter relationships. I think a little bit of mental health aspect was in it. So it was a really interesting book. I would definitely suggest the reading of that book. And then so the second book that I read was Grown. Now Grown was real grown. I did not know what to expect going into it. And this also a book that I listened to with my ears. So it has essay in it. It has abuse in it as far as like drugs, underage interactions. And so check your trigger warnings. It goes across the gamut. But it actually was a good book, and I would suggest it to young people to read because these things I can see happening, like being manipulated by an older man because you have a talent, a musical talent, so exploiting that. Not knowing how to get out of situation because you're young. Most adult women don't know how to get out of situations. So you being younger makes it even harder because mentally you are not astute to do so. It talks about family dynamic between like children and their parents in that awkward age of teenager when you're like thinking you're grown and you don't want to listen. So you end up in certain situations. I would totally suggest, if you have a young person in your life, to do a book read with them, because Grown was a really, really good book. It touched a lot of heavy things, but I think it's most realistic, especially with what's going on in the world today, with young people growing up super, super fast, having access to the internet, and not having, people being able to monitor what they do and how people interact with them. It was a great book. These were two heavy hitters when you're talking about mental health as well. And so I think instead of just sending your child to read this, you should buddy read it with them. I would definitely try to bring certain aspects into my work that I do with my young people in school this year. I'm sure the English teacher has as well, but I probably can do a little bit more in-depth one-on-one. So this is the first part of my YA series. These were two great books. I'm excited about moving forward. I'm actually reading now, Listening with My Ears again, Black Kids. I forget the author's name, but I'll put the book on the screen. And so I'm getting through that. And that's also a book about how Black kids have to maneuver their Blackness in spaces that is not always accepting to them. So that's that. We're having our coffee, we're reading our books, we're taking care of our skin, we're drinking our water, sometime minding our business. But in all of that, do all of the things, like, comment, subscribe, and I will see you in the next video. Toodles. Bye.